Okay, hello and welcome to the continuation of our class. My name is Samuel once again. In a couple of tutorials that we have done so far, we have explained how to go about doing chapter 1, how to do chapter 2, and how to do chapter 3. Now, a very important component of chapter 3 is data analysis, because after you do chapter 3 and questionnaire, you are supposed to go ahead and do data analysis, which you will make use of in your chapter 4. Okay, so data analysis is very important. Now, by the time you finish chapter 3 and let's assume that the research is yours or the research is someone else, by the time you are done with chapter 3, then the person will print out the number of questionnaire you have specified in chapter 3. Also, depending on how you intend to collect data, remember in chapter 3 you have a section called instrument of data collection. So depending on how you have decided you are going about collecting data, you may end up printing physical questionnaires, or you may end up making online questionnaire using Google Forms or something similar. Okay, now depending on which route you take, whether it is printed or online copy, it will determine how you enter your data into your data analysis software. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're not using Excel, rather we're using SPSS. SPSS is simply statistical package for social sciences. Okay, now so we're using SPSS to do our data analysis. Remember, the questionnaire may be printed or may be online copy. If it is online copy, it is easier for you to do the data analysis. The reason because you will just import the Excel file into your data analysis software, as I will show you shortly. Okay, now if it is not in Excel format, it means that you have to enter the data manually from scratch, one by one. Do you understand? So if it is in Excel format, it is easier for you. If it is in printed format, then it means a little bit of more work for you. But I'll go ahead and show you how to use Excel to do everything. So just follow me. So the first thing you do is you get your questionnaire. All right, now in my folder here, where is it? In my folder here, I already have the questionnaire data as an Excel file just sent to me by my client. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll open file, I'll say import data, Excel, right? Then it opens up the listing. Okay, it opens up the responses. Then I'll just choose the Excel file and open. All right, let's see whether this is the correct Excel file, because there was another one I manipulated. Okay, this is not the correct one. So I'll still do file, import data, Excel, right, responses, then I'll open. Okay, now by the time you open, it will give you a prompt. Okay, the prompt, this is the prompt. It says this is the worksheet, this is the range, read blah 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 blah. What you just need to do is say okay. All right, now when you say okay, it will bring in everything for you, all the data that was filled. Okay, all the data that was filled, look at it. Right, now this is everything that was filled by the client. If I open the client's requirements for the chapter 3, you will notice excuse you will notice that the client needs for the population of the study, are, you see, 262. Then the sample size is 174. Okay, so meaning that everything here, everything by this side, okay, is supposed to be at least 174, but we already have just 130. Okay, meaning that we're going to duplicate some data. All right, now that's beside the point. Now in SPSS you have two views. You have data view and then you have variable view. Okay, these two. Okay, now the data view shows the data that the respondents filled. Then the variable view showed the containers for the data. Okay, the containers, for instance, we have an age container, we have gender, we have age, we have gender, we have level, we have religion, we have ethnicity, and etc. So if you check, you see the age, you see the gender, you see level, religion, ethnicity, right, and every other thing. So this is where you modify things. Okay, this is where you naturally modify things, and then it reflects back here. Okay, now remember, this is an Excel file, and then this is not originally what they call originally an SPSS file. So you need to save. Okay, you can save or save as anyone. Okay, I will just save it as tutorial so that we can keep track of it. Okay, now I have saved it. It's a .sav file, right? Now you notice that the type of data here is strings. Okay, then you notice that the value is empty. Okay, and then you notice that the measure is nominal. Okay, now what you need to do is SPSS. Normally when you click on this guy, this 1 or A, okay, it's supposed to switch you between the variable and the container. Okay, so the variable values and container and the name. Okay, so this value, you see this value is empty. Okay, had it mean it was specified, if I click on this, it will show the differences. Okay, now so we need to transform everything we have here into a format that SPSS recognizes, because SPSS does not recognize it. That is why nothing is switching. So you need to transform the data from strings, this type, from these strings to numeric. Okay, because at the end of the day, we are going to have, for instance, 1 for male and 2 for female. Do you understand? 1 for male, 2 for female. For 400 level, we can see, okay, the data here, the data for the level starts from 300 level to 500. So we can say that 300 is 1, 400 is 2, and 500 is 3. So come back here, gender, 1 is male, 2 is female. Then we can say 16 to 20 is 1, 21 to 25 is 2, right? 26, where is 26? Where is 26? Let's just go down and see. 26, okay, 26 to 30 is 3, right? Then 31 and above is 4. So we need to transform this data into numbers, into numerics, okay, so that the software can recognize it. Then after that, we'll now define the value. So this is what I mean. So for instance, for the age, right? Okay, let's start with gender, the one you easily see. So you go to transform, and then you say recode into same variable. Okay, so click on it, right? Age, you put in age, right? You see it is a string variable. Then you now switch it over. You now say, okay, for the, I say age, let's do gender first so that you easily see what we're trying to achieve. Gender, right? So we are saying that for gender, just give me a moment, I want to minimize how big this is so that you'll be seeing what we're doing. Okay, so gender, okay, this gender is already here, variables, right? Now for the males, take note of how the spelling is. The M is capital, so males. Okay, male, right? The value will now be 1, then you add. Then female, notice that the F is capital. Okay, then the value will be what? It will be 2. Do you see that? So in this way, you are telling the software that now move anything that is male from just being male, okay, into 1. Okay, then for female, move anything that is typed as a string variable from female into the value 2. Then you say continue, then you say okay. Right now, this is an output window. Okay, is an output window. So you go back to the main window, which is this one, right? Now notice that the gender has changed from male and female to 2 and 1, right? Now it has changed from male and female to 2 and 1s. So you go back here, you go to gender, it is still defined as string. Then you click on the option just in front of it. Let me go back. Just in front of it, you click on this and then you change it to numeric and say okay. Okay, now by the time you say okay, then you can go ahead to change this. If you want to leave it as a nominal scale, you leave it as a nominal scale. If you want to leave it as a scale variable, you put it as scale variable. Whatever you want to put here, it doesn't really affect your data analysis, right? So we have changed gender into numeric. Now we need to define the values for the variable. So the variable is actually gender, but the values is going to carry. For instance, the value 1, the value this 1 under gender should carry, it has not been defined. The value 2 under gender is supposed to carry, it has not been defined. So we need to define it. How do we define it? You go to under values, you click here towards the right, okay, then you now say okay, the value 1 should be for what? Should be for males, right? Then the value for 2, the label should be what? Females. Female. Okay, females. Okay, you see that? Then you say okay, right? Then when you come back to the data view, you see that it is already on what? Females and males again. But this time around, if you click on this guy, you see it's changing between males and females. Do you understand? So we'll do that for the purpose of what's it called? For the purpose of consolidating what I've just taught you. We'll do that for level. Okay, we'll do that for religion so that you see. Okay, so go back. Okay, go back to transform, go back to compute or recode into same variables, right? This time around we'll do levels. First of all, you need to reset this. Okay, before you start another new one, you need to press on reset. So you press on reset, then the gender comes back. Then you now say okay, let's do levels. Okay, then you say old and new values, right? The old value, the first value is 300 level. Okay, and we say 300 level should become 1. Are we together? Then we're saying that for 400 level, okay, the value should become 2. Okay, then for 500 level, the value should become 3. Are we together? So 300 level should become 1, 400 level should become 2, and then 500 level should become 3. Then you say okay, right? Then you now say okay again. Now you go back to the main window. Okay, the main window. If you check on level, you now see that it has changed from 400, 300, and 500 level into 2, 3, and 1s, right? Now notice that there are empty places here, so just put any random values that you already have defined. Okay, so another empty space here, we can say this should be 5. This one is 100, so let's shift it back to 1. You see, so you make sure that there are no missing values, because missing values will later give you problem. Because at the end of the day, when you are getting the what's it called, when you are getting the descriptive statistics, it's supposed to give you 100%, but if there are missing values, it will give you less than 100%. Okay, it will give you less than 100%, which is not supposed to be so. So you make sure that these empty spaces are filled with 1, 2, or 3s. Okay, depending on the values you just assigned. Okay, now the same thing, we'll go back to variable view, we'll go back to what? To level. Again, we'll change it to numeric. Okay, it has already changed itself to numeric. Then you now define for value number 1, the label is supposed to be what? It's supposed to be 300 level. 300 level. Okay, for value 2, the label is supposed to be what? Supposed to be 400 level. Supposed to be 400 level, right? Then for value 3, it's supposed to be what? 500 level. Okay, 500 level. So when you do it this way and then you press OK and then you go back to your view, you see that it has changed. The level have changed from just numbers. You see it is changing when I press this value labels button. It is changing between the values and the labels, right? Okay, now let's do religion so that you see religion. Now we have 2 religions here. If you notice this Christianity, notice, and then others. So let's assume the others are going to be Muslims. Okay, so what we need to do is go to transform again, recode into same variables, then this time around religion. Before you send it in, make sure you reset. Always make sure you reset. Okay, so religion, put it in, old values, new values. Okay, then you say Christian, right? Then the new value will be 1. Then for the others, the value will be 2. Okay, now these 2, later on when we go back to specify the variables, instead of making it others, we'll now make it Islam. All right, so continue, say OK, right? Go back to the main window. Now notice that for religion everything has changed to 1 and a few 2s. Okay, now we need to specify that 1 for religion. You see, religion is still a string variable, so you make sure that it is turned to numeric. Okay, numeric because everything here is numbers, right? So you make sure it's changed to numeric. Then for the values, for 1, okay, for 1, let us make it what? Christianity. Remember, it is a religion. Okay, so the religion itself is Christianity, right? Then 2 is not Muslim, it's Islam, right? Okay, and say OK. So we have defined these variables or the values for the variables, and when you go back, you notice that you have a lot of Christianity. Okay, a lot of Christianity. All the other ones that are not switching, they are not switching because we have not transformed them and we have not defined the variables. Okay, so the same thing you do with ethnicity, and you do with age. So let's just do ethnicity and see. Ethnicity, so transform, and let me do it this way so that I can be seen. Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, others. Okay, so transform, go to recode into same variables, reset, right? Ethnicity, click on ethnicity, put it in old and new values. For the Hausa, let's assume the Hausa are 1, which is Hausa. If you do not spell it exactly, it won't work. Okay, Hausa is 1. Let's assume Yoruba is 2. Igbo is 3. Okay, then others. others is 4. Pricing. Okay, so you say okay, then you say okay. Right now it has changed it. If you notice under ethnicity, if you notice everything has changed into 1, 2, 3 and 4, then you go back and make sure that ethnicity is changed from the type string into numeric. Okay, then go back to the values and say that for Hausa 1 is for Hausa, 2 is for Yoruba, then 3 is for Igbo, and then 4 others. Okay, then you say okay, and then when you go back you see that it has reflected. So under ethnicity we're saying Hausa, others, Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, blah 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 blah, like that, right? So now remember, this is the name, this is type, this is width, decimal, and then this is label. So the label is supposed to be age. Okay, now this name can be anything. This name is actually variable name. Okay, variable name, it is what appears at the top of these places. Okay, is variable name. Okay, so it can be anything. I can say A. You see it has changed. Where is this? Where is age? Age has changed to A, right? So here the variables, the variable name, you can make it anything. Just make sure you understand what you are doing. Now for what we are doing here, gender, religion, ethnicity, I'll copy, and then I'll make sure it is gender, religion, ethnicity, paste. Okay, now this one we said is useful for seeing everything on top of this place, right? But then this one is useful when you are now doing your data analysis. Okay, now I'll open the questionnaire for what we are doing. I think she sent her questionnaire. Yeah, she sent her questionnaire, just that I modified the questionnaire. Okay, I modified it. So but this section A, is knowledge of respondent towards hand hygiene, right? So I can decide to say that KHH, okay, knowledge of hand hygiene. Okay, knowledge of hand hygiene. So the first question, the first question here, remember this one is just an empty listing, it's not useful to us. But the first question here, you see everything is together. The reason why everything is together is when SPSS wants to define variables, it does not give provision for space. You can only use full stop or hyphen, I think, or underscore. Alright, so this place is knowledge. If you check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And then you go back to my Word document, you will notice that we have about 8 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 different items, right? Under this knowledge of hand hygiene. So in order to simplify everything, I'll go into my SPSS and then I'll say, okay, this guy is going to be okay. This guy is going to be knowledge of hand hygiene 1. This guy will be knowledge of hand hygiene 2. Knowledge of hand hygiene 3. Okay. Knowledge of hand hygiene 4. Okay, before they work, so 4, right? Knowledge of hand hygiene 5, knowledge of hand hygiene 6, knowledge of hand hygiene 7, and then finally knowledge of hand hygiene 8. So that when you come here, you now see that it has changed to KHH1 up to KHH8. You see that, right? So this will help keep things on the variable name simple. Instead of having a bunch of text like this, you have something simple like this. So you do the same thing for the other one. So this is knowledge of hand hygiene. Then you go, this is what attitude of respondents towards hand hygiene. So we can say AHH, attitude towards hand hygiene. So if you check also, this one has about 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So you go back and then you also do the same thing for 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? You see, we have about 8. Okay, we have about 8 here. Now, if you check, the final table is what? The final table is practice of hand hygiene. So I can just say it is PHH, right? Practice of hand hygiene. Copy, go back. These are about 6 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now so if you go back and check under data view, you see that everything has been defined the way I defined it, with the exception of this V15, variable 15. I'll just say clear, it will go away, and then I'll go to variable 6, and then I'll also tell it clear, and it will go away, right? Now, so remember that what we did, that transform we did for this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for these 5 social demographic items, we are also supposed to do for these guys, so that everything becomes string. Okay, now if the reason, oh god, okay, okay, so everything is back to where it's supposed to be. So you see we have variable names, right? The type, so we are supposed to convert every other thing here into numerics. Then at the same time, we are also supposed to define the values here. Then if you notice here, everything is, sometimes they are by the side, they are hitting the edge. Okay, so I can decide to say, okay, everything becomes centralized. Sometimes they are left. I want to centralize everything. Okay, so I'll now copy center. I'll copy this center, and then copy highlight everything, and then paste the center so that everything becomes in the center, in the center, in the center. Okay, now make sure as you are working, you are saving your file. As you are working, you are saving your file. Then remember, I'm not showing you everything what's it called in order. I'm just showing you how it's supposed to be. Okay, like it's not set in stone the order of how you do it. Okay, but remember we said that this place you need it for when you start doing your analysis, data analysis. If you check, this last option is I properly clean my hands after handling contaminated blah blah blah. If you go back and you check, the last option is the same. I properly clean my hands after handling contaminated materials or surfaces. So everything in this place are the ones you also have in this place on this label. Okay, now so we need to continue for the rest. So what do? We go to transform again. We say recode into same variables. Right now, this time around, okay, sorry, religion was not turned into skill. This guy was not turned into skill, so let me just do that. Ethnicity was not turned into skill. And then even age, where's that age? Age is still a string variable, so I'll change age into numeric. Okay, and then I'll change the skill or the measure into skill. Okay, now so back to what I was saying. Now what's next is we're supposed to convert all of these guys into numerics. Okay, now I'm going to do all of them at once because all of them have one common denominator. The denominator is that all of them have strongly agreed, agreed, disagreed, neutral, and strongly disagreed. Okay, so all of them have a common denominator. Excuse me. All of them have a common denominator, so I can do all of them all at once. Okay, so how do I do that? I had one stuff I did when I was preparing to do this tutorial. Okay, so let's assume that strongly agreed, strongly disagreed is 1, this guy is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 4, and then this is 5. Okay, I chose the value based on what I want to do. All right, so it doesn't really matter what value you choose for them. This strongly agreed can actually be 1, whatever you decide to do. Right, so go to transform, recode into same variables. Right now, something is still religion. Okay, transform, recode into same variables. Everything, hold down your shift, click the last item. Sorry, make sure you reset first. Make sure you reset first. After you reset, click on it. If you see this ruler button, it's telling that these are skills. Okay, so click on the first guy, then hold down shift, click on the last guy. All right, so all of them, I've brought all of them into this place. You can take them back or you can bring them in. Right now, all of them have a common denominator of strongly agree, disagree, blah 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 blah. So I can do all of them all at once instead of wasting time. Right, so what do I need to do? Pull up my text. Okay, for strongly agreed, I'll paste. The value should be what? 5. Come together. For agreed, the value should be what? 4. Okay, all right, say add. For this other guy, neutral, Mutual should be 3. Should be 3. Okay. The next one is supposed to be disagree. Disagree is 2. And then strongly disagree is 1. Strongly disagree is 1, right? So what do? You add, then you say continue, and then you say okay, right? It give you a call, blah 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 blah. Say okay, you say okay, right? So by the time you go back, you notice everything has changed. Okay, everything has changed except some few values. Those few values, if you notice, those few values are the values that the spelling is different from the one we used. Say strongly agree. The first letter A is small letter, so that is where the problem is coming from. So you need to recode these ones. Okay, so strongly agree. Strongly agree is supposed to be what? Let's see. I think it's supposed to be 5, right? So I'll clean this, make it small letter, right? Copy the value, go back to transform, decode into same value. Remember, you're supposed to reset, right? Then you now bring in everything once again, right? Old values, new values. Strongly agree. This time strongly agree. The agree is small letter, and then it's supposed to be a what? 5. And you say add, continue, okay, right? Go back to the previous window. You see that they have disappeared. Now the next one is strongly disagree. You see the spelling, the D is small letter, so you also make that appropriate correction. This time around, disagree, right? Copy, then transform into same variables. Make sure you reset, then bring them in again. Hold and shift, push them in. Record. Say strongly disagreed. Strongly disagreed is supposed to be 1. So 1, add, continue, okay. Say okay, say okay, right? Go back. Notice it has cleared. It has cleared everything, right? So what are we left with? We're left with those numbers, right? Numbers that even if I press on this value labels button, it is not changing. It is not changing, remember, because we have not specified their values. Okay, we have not specified their values in this place. Okay, now before we specify the value, notice that everything from KHH1 up to the PHH6, everything is still string variable. So what you need to do is just do copy, then highlight everything, and then say paste. Okay, so it has all changed. Okay, and then notice the measure also has changed accordingly into what? Into scale. So for this one, we need to just, since everything has a common denominator of strongly agreed, agreed, disagreed, and neutral, you can just define one, then you copy and paste everything for all of them. So to do that, I'll do Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, right? So that I'll get the appropriate spelling. I'll do copy. So this guy, for value 5, let me do the way you see. For anything like 5, okay, or 4 or 3, 2, 1, like that, we're specifying the value. So for 5, we're saying that the value is this. Strongly agreed. Are we together? You say add. For This other one, agree, for agree is 4. Okay, agree is 4. Excuse me. Neutral is 3. Disagree is 2. Disagree is 2. And then finally, strongly disagree is 1. Okay, then you say what? You say okay, right? Now when you say okay, remember to always save your work. So you just copy. How do you copy? You click like this, and then you press your right button, the right mouse button, then you say copy, then you highlight the rest, and then you do what you do, paste, right? Now it is saved, right? So if we go back here now, let me adjust the width. The width, let's just say everything should be 6. Should be 6. So 6, right? Then I'll copy the 6 and then paste it across board. I don't want everything to be wide. Paste, so that if you go back here, you see everything is here, right? So if I do like this, you are seeing that everything now is changing, right? Now, meaning that we have successfully transformed this our Excel data. Where is it? These responses. Meaning that we have successfully transformed this our Excel data. This data you are seeing, everything in here, we have transformed it into a way that SPSS recognizes it. Into a way that SPSS recognizes it, such that by the time we are here and we click this and this, it is always changing into what it actually is. So this is how to transform your data from your normal from your normal Excel sheet into the way that you can analyze it. Okay, then secondly, if let's assume that everything had to be done manually, then you will be the one to define, for instance, age, sex, okay, or gender, then ethnicity, blah blah blah, and you will now be the one to code, to write the labels, then to write the values, and then also to define the skills. Do you understand? So this is when you have to do it manually. You will do everything from scratch, but we are not doing manually because we already have a data that was sent to us, and that is what we were using to do this. Right now, notice that if you go back to chapter 3, this person's chapter 3 was supposed to have 174 responses. Okay, but right now we have just 130. Okay, how do you analyze this data? It's supposed to be 174 and you have 130. Even if you attempt to analyze the data and you go to descriptives and frequencies, right, and then you select everything from start to finish, push it in, and then you say yeah, right, and then you say create API style tables, and then you say okay. Even if you attempt to do it this way, okay, it has brought out the output for you. If you notice, let's go to the first one, which is age, right? Now remember, we did not do anything on that age. We only did males, females, levels, religion, ethnicity. We did not touch the age. That is why it is still looking this way. But what I want to show you is this. You see that it has males 22, it has females how many? It has females 104, but then it has missing and system values of 873. The question is, where is this coming from? This is where it is coming from. If you notice, we have up to 130 responses, right? 130 responses, but all of these things, they are not grayed out. Like, it's like they are still active. So what you need to do is you need to delete them. Okay, so you select them up to the last and then you delete. You say clear. So I'm waiting for it to select everything. Excuse me. Okay, then you say option and then what? Clear. Now it has cleared everything. You see how there's a difference between this and this. This is black, this is grayed out, right? So we need to multiply our responses. Then you see places like this, you need to take care of them. If not, they will spoil your calculation. So you can just put any random value in there. Okay, you see this, you can just put any random value between 1 to 5. Okay, you see this, you can put any random value between 1 to 3. Okay, this age, we did not define anything about age, that is why everything is 0. Okay, so but we'll just forget about it, or we can say clear also. Okay, I'm doing away with the age, but let's just leave it. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is you're supposed to have 174 responses, but you have 130, meaning you have to duplicate something. So if you want to duplicate, you are not copying like this, you are copying like this. Okay, so that it will copy everything across board. So you can just say copy. Okay, that's copy. You go to the empty space after, then paste, right? Then you go, you continue copying and pasting, until you arrive at 174. Okay, this is 148, meaning I should really do this all at once. So I'll just do like this, copy, and then paste. Okay, we have up to 169. So let's do like this once more. Okay, so this is more than 174, so we clear this extra. Okay, so we have 174, then you save. Right now, after saving, you now remember we have the main window, the data view or data window, and then we have what? The output window. So far we have had a lot of outputs on the output window, so we can just close it, save contents of output window to output 1, just say no, so it will disappear, meaning that you are left with just your data window, right? Then you now go and analyze again descriptives, frequencies, remember everything. Okay, minus the age, since we didn't define anything for age, minus age, then you say let's see statistics. Okay, and you say okay, then to generate everything for you. Now notice that under gender 5 are missing, under level 9 are missing, under religion 2 are missing. So you need to go in and make sure that nothing is missing for each and every one of those. Okay, so by the time, if not, it will not be giving you 100%. If you notice, gender is not giving you 100%, but ethnicity is giving you 100%, right? So go to ethnicity and see how is ethnicity looking like. Okay, see the ethnicity, right? So this is giving you 100%. Now this is the output. Let's assume that you have gone back and filled in all of these missing values. so that you now have a total of 174 across board. You see, this is less than 174, less than, this is 174. But you filled in the values and you now have your 174. This is less than 174, less than. Okay, by the time you do that, what you need to do is you need to once again close the output window and say no, right? Then you go to analyze, descriptives, frequencies, right? And then display frequency tables, and then create APA style tables. Okay, so let's assume that everything here is 174, 174, 174, 174. So this, by doing this, you have finished your data analysis from SPSS software when it comes to just doing frequency analysis. Do you understand? Then what you need to do is just right click and say export. Okay, when you say export, I'll rename the document into tutorial. It's going to export into a Word document for me. Okay, so objects to export, all, visible or selected. So I'll just say all, right? Then I'll just say okay. By the time I say okay, it will export the file. So if I come here and refresh, you see that we have a tutorial.dox file. So you open it. When you open it, you now see that everything that was analyzed has been sent into a Microsoft Word document for you. So what do you need to do? You need to clean it up. So I'll delete these parts, I don't need them. Okay, so I'm left with just the frequency tables for everything. I'll also clean this guy, I don't need this guy. Okay, then make sure you save. Then if you check, it is reading tutorial.docs compatibility mode, so I'm going to convert it into the latest Microsoft Word version. Okay, you see it as left. Okay, then what you need to do is you need to select everything and then change the font to your normal writing font, which is Times New Roman, and then the font size to 12. Okay, and then you save again. Now the reason for this is because now what you need to do is you drag this guy, the tutorial Microsoft Word, hit it to the boundary. If you're using Windows 10, hit it to the boundary, right? Then you now select the questionnaire. Okay, my client's name is Ella, so that's why you're seeing Ella there. Okay, then you go to the top. Okay, now if you see this questionnaire doesn't have this thing, it doesn't have gender, level, blah 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 blah. So I'm going to import one from this document. Okay, so I'll just import this guy. Okay, so I'll copy and I'll close. No, don't save. Okay, then I'll paste. Right now, after pasting, remember we didn't do anything age related in our analysis. It was deliberate, we didn't do it, so it means we're not supposed to have age, right? So we're going to ignore this age, or we're going to clean it off like this. Delete cells. Okay, right? Okay, so we only had from gender. So you need to, for the males, the number of males here is what? 31. It's supposed to be more than 31. Remember, this one we did not fill in the missing values. See, missing is 5. We did not fill in the missing values. And then we fill the missing values. then I will have something like this. Then you should take note, the table I just pasted, this table I just pasted, this one, right? It is actually the same thing with this one, just that I have already filled them in. Do you understand? So if you notice, the level is 300, 400, 500. Religion is Christianity and Islam, then Hausa, blah blah blah. So it is the same table. I've already started the person's chapter 4, just that I had to go back so that I will show you how I arrived where I arrived. So remember now, with this we have come to the end of the software part of the data analysis. The remaining part of the data analysis is the part where you have to sit down. So this is the file that we just did now, but I've already done the same file. I've gone up to chapter 4 with the same file. I've already added some things with the same file. So you see, this time around there's an age part, right? There's an age part, there's the chapter heading, there's the chapter subtitle, blah 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 blah. So even the tables, I've filled in the tables here. Okay, so what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that first of all, at the beginning part, you have to do the software part of the analysis. Okay, now an alternative way of the software part of the data analysis is for you to get a calculator and start counting how many people are in 400 level. Do you understand? Then how many people are in 300 level, how many people are Christians, how many people are blah 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 blah. But by the time you use the software, everything comes out for you. Do you understand? So when it comes out for you like this, then you can now actually do the data analysis. The data analysis is two parts. First one is the frequency and stuff, depending on the person's chapter 3. This person chapter 3 said that if you check method of data analysis, she said it will be analyzed using frequency distribution table and percentages. That is why we're using that for data analysis. So by the time you go back, you now start describing what the table is saying. Okay, so table 4.1. okay, table 4.1, which is this present table. If you notice, the social demographic data is table 4.1. okay, so table 4.1 shows blah 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 blah. This is where you now begin the second part of the data analysis. So this is how to go about doing data analysis. You have to first of all bring your data into SPSS, whether it is an Excel file or whether you are entering everything manually. By the time you bring it in, then you run your analysis. By the time you run your analysis, then you export your analysis into a Microsoft Word document, just like this. When you export it into a Microsoft Word document, then you now have to enter the data manually into all the corresponding tables. Okay, for instance, if you check, this is the last option. Let's assume this is the last option. I properly clean my hands after handling contaminated materials on surfaces. If you also check the chapter 4 I'm currently doing, the last item on the last table is what is I properly clean my hands after handling contaminated materials or surfaces. So you see, it's the same thing, right? So this is how to go about the analysis. Then you now go ahead and make the necessary commentary depending on the person's department. Okay, for nursing science, they don't need much of English. Okay, they don't need much of English when it comes to describing the contents of the table. All right, so you will notice by the time I finish up, you notice that I'll have very few descriptions of what is actually in the table. Do you understand? So this is how to go about doing data analysis. With this, we have come to the end of this part of the tutorial. So I'll see you in the next one. Take care and God bless.